In 2017, we've already seen quite a few teams lose their best player via trade or free agency. And if you're a fan of the Pacers, the Bulls, the Clippers, or the Jazz, the offseason hasn't been particularly kind to you. But today, we're taking a look at how in recent history, the Warriors and Raptors also lost their best player and not only managed to immediately become better, they also laid the foundation for their later success. What's up guys, welcome to MDJ, my name is Mark. Let's first talk about the Warriors. Before KD joined the team, before they won 73 games, before Steph Curry won his 2 MVPs, and before half of America jumped on the Golden State bandwagon, the Warriors in 2012 were in a pretty rough spot. 23-year-old Steph Curry was dealing with chronic ankle injuries, and many had written him off as an injury bust. And outside of a rookie Klay Thompson, the team had a severe lack of young talent, and they finished third to last in the Western Conference. The best player on their team was Monte Ellis, who averaged 22 and 6 for them. But in Monte's 6 seasons with them, the team in general had very little success. They had that one season in 2007 when they upset the Mavericks in the first round, but they missed the playoffs the other 5 seasons. And so in 2012, the Warriors traded away their star player, Monte Ellis, along with Ekpe Udoh and Kwame Brown to the Milwaukee Bucks in exchange for Andrew Bogut and Steven Jackson. And this was a pretty risky move on the Warriors' part because remember, at this point, nobody, including those within the Warriors organization, knew that Steph Curry could even stay 100% healthy, much less be an MVP caliber player. And Klay Thompson was still a rookie, so it's not like they had a surefire backcourt for the future. And they were trading for an Andrew Bogut who at that time was recovering from a fractured ankle, had already suffered multiple major injuries throughout his career, and was on the last year of his contract. So not many people expected them to be much better the upcoming season, if at all, but the Warriors finished with a 47 and 35 record, made the playoffs for the first time in 5 years, and also beat the Denver Nuggets in the first round and put up a great fight against the Spurs in the second round. Now, is all of this because of Monte Ellis not being there? Of course not. Again, nobody was certain that Steph Curry would be able to stay healthy. Nobody knew that Klay Thompson in just his second year would average 16.6 points on 40% from 3. And no one knew that rookie Harrison Barnes and Draymond Green would come in and have such an immediate impact on the team. But Monte Ellis leaving did A, allow the Warriors to let Steph run most of the offense, and B, give Klay Thompson starter minutes, which he quickly proved he deserved. And so fast forward 4 years later, the Warriors have been to 3 straight finals and have won 2 championships. And from every angle, this will end up being a great NBA dynasty. Okay, so how does this make the Warriors similar to the Raptors? Well, the Raptors went through something similar. In January of 2013, the Raptors had a 16 and 28 record, but surprisingly, they were still in the playoff race because 2013 was one of the historically bad seasons for the Eastern Conference, seeing as the Milwaukee Bucks made the playoffs with a 38 and 44 record. The Raptors, who had been rebuilding ever since Chris Bosh left in 2010 and was desperate for wins, decided to make a late season playoff push by organizing a 3-team trade where they received Rudy Gay and lost Jose Calderon and Ed Davis. Upon his arrival, Rudy Gay immediately asserted himself as the best player on the team, as well as the alpha dog, scoring 73 points in his first 3 games as a Raptor, including this game winner against Indiana in overtime. He would go on to lead the team in points per game at 19.5, posting a 29.1% usage rate, which was 10th in the league, but he didn't make enough of a difference for the Raptors to make the playoffs, as they still had an 18 and 20 losing record with him on the team. So for a team like Toronto that was desperate for team success, it would make total sense for them to keep Rudy Gay, who is still only 27 years old, and try to build around him and form a team that's at least decent enough for Canadians to root for, right? Well, turns out that's not what they thought, because a couple months into the 2013-2014 season, the Raptors were 6 and 12, and they decided to trade Rudy Gay, Quincy Acy, and Aaron Gray to the Kings for John Salmons, Grievous Vasquez, Patrick Patterson, and Chuck Hayes. Out of those 4 players, Patrick Patterson turned out to be the most valuable as a quality player that has played a great role for them these past 4 years. And also Grievous Vasquez, who many people forgot was a really good player for them off the bench. But on paper, this trade was not a good deal for the Raptors because none of those players, even combined, are the same value as a prime Rudy Gay. But it turns out that this might have been the best decision the franchise has ever made, because immediately after trading away Rudy Gay, the Raptors went on a 13 and 5 run and finished the season 48 and 34, winning the Atlantic Division for just the 2nd time in franchise history. But any of Toronto's officials, including GM Masai Ujiri, would acknowledge that they did not intend for this team to be good. Right after trading away Rudy Gay, the Raptors immediately began working on a deal that would send Kyle Lowry to the Knicks, but the trade reportedly fell apart at the last minute because New York did not want to give up their first round pick. For all intents and purposes, the Raptors were trying to rebuild, but the team ended up being way too good way too soon for them to do so. And although the Raptors have yet to make the NBA Finals, they have been one of the best teams in the East for the past 4 years and did make the conference finals in 2016 for the first time in franchise history. We obviously can't call these guys a dynasty, but objectively speaking, this is already the greatest era of Toronto basketball, seeing as neither Vince Carter nor Chris Bosh were able to deliver this amount of regular season and playoff success consistently. So why was it that trading away Rudy Gay happened to be the igniter of this accidental success? Well, like we talked about, the Raptors did get some quality role players in return, but more importantly, Rudy Gay was stunning the growth of DeMar DeRozan. Both were ball dominant, athletic, wing scorers that loved playing in isolation, taking mid-range jumpers, but more importantly, neither shot threes. So after trading away Rudy Gay, DeRozan's numbers across the board jumped and he was named to his first All-Star team in his career. Fast forward 4 years and DeRozan has transformed himself into a better player than Rudy Gay ever was. Okay, so why did I make a video talking about how the Warriors and Raptors got better after trading away their best player? Well, first, because I think it's always interesting to go back in history and look at how some of these decisions could have changed the course of franchises. But secondly, is because in the 2017 offseason, we've seen 4 teams lose their best player either through trade or free agency. And I know I'm not going to go into detail on each and every single one of them because I could make a whole video on each and every single one of them. I do want to point out that history shows some teams get better, sometimes immediately better, after they lose their best player. And outside of Chicago, who is obviously going to rebuild, I wouldn't be surprised at all if at least one of these 3 teams ends up being better this next season than they were last season. So don't lose hope just yet, because you never know how these moves will look 4 or 5 years from now. That's it for today's video. Just to clarify, I did pick the 2 most recent examples of teams that got immediately better after trading away their best player. So something like Minnesota trading Kevin Love doesn't really count because they were obviously rebuilding. But the collective knowledge of you guys far exceeds mine. So I'd love to hear you guys present some similar cases in NBA history where this phenomenon happened as well. Leave it down in the comment section below if you can think of one. Other than that, my name is Mark, aka MDJ. I appreciate you guys. Seriously, I appreciate you guys. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.